Okay, we're live. First and foremost, man, rest in peace to John Singleton. If you ever saw like Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, Too Fast, Too Furious, Baby Boy, these are just a few of his films. Definitely a loss, man. It's a hit for the culture too, because not for nothing, he paved the way for all filmmakers, not just African American. Most definitely for African American, but just filmmakers in general. Nominated for an Oscar when he was like 24, the youngest ever. It's pretty sad, man. I'm not gonna lie, because Boys in the Hood is so pivotal. When you watch the story and you watch Ricky and you watch Trey, man, Ash Trey, and like just to see the type of shit that they have to go through, and it really depicted what it was like to grow up in South Central LA in the early 90s, really having to deal with gang life and gang activity, Bloods and Crips beefing, corrupt cops, and just seemingly a hopeless environment, kind of similar to what Chicago was going through now. And the way he just gave it to you so raw and so gritty, like, it was dope. I remember watching Boys in the Hood, and it was pretty intense. Like, I'm not gonna lie. First time I ever saw it, it had me kind of shook, because I never really saw like gang life depicted that raw before. Like, not on film. It was an eye-opener. But yeah, man, rest in peace, man. Also, we gotta give a rest in peace to Peter William Mayhew. He's the guy, the original Chewbacca actor. He passed away as well. And as I'm watching, man, as I get older and every year it just seems like more and more celebrities are passing. And it's not really that more of them are passing. It's just the reality of life. People are passing on, and it puts a lot in perspective, and it definitely shows you that you're getting older, and life is passing you by and things are happening. So if you're not doing anything, get the fuck up off your ass and start doing something, man, because time waits for no one. For real. Just lost Nipsey. We lost Mac, we lost X. A lot of people have passed away, especially in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I'm just talking about celebrities. So but yeah, man, rest in peace to those gentlemen, those pioneers in film, because they definitely did a lot for the film industry and for the culture. Definitely, man. Rest in peace to those guys. But now, to move on to the main topic of discussion. Avengers. I don't want to have to say spoiler alert. I don't think I have to at this point. It's been over a week since the film came out. If you haven't seen it by now, that's most definitely on you. I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't really help you. You can definitely get in now to see it at your own discretion. So, but yeah, man, we got to talk about this, because culmination of 22 films over the span of 11 years. Starting with Iron Man and most honorably ending with Iron Man. It's been a wild ride, man. It's been crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Because when I first thought back to when they first did Iron Man, and I didn't really know Robert Downey Jr. all that well. I just definitely only really knew much of him from all the issues that he had, because he'd gotten into so many legal troubles. Especially in the 90s, when he was also kind of like a premier actor, and it kind of slowed his career down. And Iron Man, that particular movie right there is what revitalized Robert Downey Jr.'s career, and it's what turned him into the box office success that he is now, and just the guy that people love, because people didn't love him back then, man. He was an asshole. He was always doing drugs. He was doing whatever the hell he wanted. So he really turned his life around, and it was all thanks to Disney and Marvel and this entire franchise. So that's why it started with him, and rightfully so. You end with him being the hero. It is what it is. Now, the overall story, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people have certain grievances. I still see people online who are still kind of bitching and moaning about the fact that it's not quite as accurate as the comics. And it's just like, dude, we're at the end of the cycle. Like, if you're still at this point complaining about the fact that it's not pinpoint accurate, you gotta move on, bro. You gotta move on. At the end of the day, when they first started establishing the universe, they didn't have all the characters that they needed. You understand? So with all those other characters licensed out to Fox, to Sony, to all these other studios, they pulled in the characters that they had. They had the core, and then they did what they could. And then now that they have everyone, the deal's finalized, it's stamped and sealed. Within the next couple of years, they're going to take a little break, and then they're going to come back, and then we'll start to see more accurate and precise storylines, because we will now have all the characters that we need. It is what it is, man. Like, we all want it to be a certain way because we're fans, but reality has to play a factor, and you got to deal with the situation as it is. You got to stop bitching and moaning, man, because at the end of the day, with what they came up with and the way that it was put together, it was phenomenal. Every movie obviously wasn't a super smash. Like, it is what it is. You're gonna have some missteps, but they had way more highs than lows, and you got to tip your hat off to these guys. You have to, because they brought it full circle. They kept the continuity within their own universe while trying to accommodate the comic books as much as they possibly could. You gotta give it up to them. I'm just saying. Like, it is what it is. And I love the way that they handled the characters. You know what I'm saying? The film opens up. It starts with Stark, and you get to see him and Nebula in their interactions, and you really get to see him make Nebula feel like welcome and really make her feel like very comfortable around him. You know, he's giving her little praises, and it's the little things. They're fucking sitting there playing paper football, and he's giving her like slight little praises, and you can just see it in her expressions. Like, it means a lot to her, and you can tell that, especially dealing with her history, who her fucking father is, she's never really had much praise or even much as a thank you or a good job. So just little shit like that. And you can just see the type of person that Tony became. Because, like, we got to remember, back when Tony was in that, before he was in that cave in the first Iron Man, Tony didn't give a fuck about anything but women and his money and how flashy and cool he was. You know what I'm saying? And then even after the initial accident happened, he wound up in the cave, he became Iron Man. You slowly got to see how his character started to mold, and how Tony was becoming way more mature, and he was just becoming like way more lovable, to the point where now you see at Endgame where he's comforting someone who was once an enemy, someone who would have probably tried to kill him not too long ago. Like, it really shows like the overall emotional growth of Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was dope. It was dope, man. I was impressed, and I was definitely satisfied. They brought everybody together. You get to see how the other characters are lamenting on their failure. I love what they did, like with Thor, where they really, really showed you that, like, Thor is really grieving over the situation. It probably affected him, not for nothing, the most, because as big as Tony's ego is, Thor's ego is literally God level. Like, he feels like he's the man, like, and everyone counts on him. That's why that was the whole thing about it. Like, he felt like he should have won, and that's why he went so hard. Thanos came down, fucked Loki up, killed him, killed Idris Elba character. I'm sorry, I don't remember his fucking name. Like, they took that L there. He went hard. The Guardians found him. He got with Rocket. He almost died just trying to restart a star so that he can create Stormbreaker, a weapon just to kill Thanos. He spent the whole movie looking for Thanos, man. Like, he really felt like he had to redeem himself, and he really wanted to save everybody. He found Thanos. He ran up on him, literally traveled halfway across the universe, and finally got him. Finally thought he killed him, and he failed. He absolutely failed 100%. The movie opens up. Excuse me. The movie opens up. You see all of them get together. Nebula, I know where he is. They roll up on Thanos. They finally get him, and then they realize, oh shit, he erased the stones. So now there's nothing that we can do. So I chopped his head off, and 5 years later, he's overweight, or not overweight, but overweight for Thor, and he's just giving up on himself. And you can see it in small little pieces of the scene. Even when they first got the stones and they put it together on the Iron Man, on the gauntlet Iron Man created, and Bruce or whatever. And like he's like, just let me do it. First he's like, I'll do it. You know, he's arrogant, but slowly you start to see he's like, just please let me do it. Please just let me do something right. Like you can really see that shit really fucked him up. I like how they did it. They showed real evolution for Thor, and they really humanized him, which made him way more likable than he used to be. Well, I mean, he was always likable. His movies just weren't always that great. Till Ragnarok. Salute to Ragnarok. But yeah. I love how they handled Thor. I like that they didn't allow Captain Marvel to overshadow. That was a very big concern of mine. 100%. I like that they didn't allow her to overshadow. They let her get her shit off a little bit. You know, you got to see that she can fight Thanos. She can, without the gauntlet, they're pretty much saying that she can kill him, which I'm like, okay, sure. But I don't know if I like how they made her look though. They made her look kind of butchy, kind of dykey. I'm like, I mean, nothing against it. Don't get me wrong, but like, they really got her pushing the feminist agenda, and like, okay. If that's what you want to go, that's cool. I actually liked her a little bit more in her own film. I felt like her character was a little more like likable, in my opinion. Even though a lot of people felt like her acting was way more like stalled. I don't know, but overall, I liked how they used her, and I definitely liked that she didn't overshadow because she wasn't supposed to. That was definitely a concern. I liked her role. And I like the send-off, man. I like the send-off that they gave Iron Man. And I like the send-off that they gave Cap. Even though, not for nothing, I don't know, I'm gonna do a little more research on it, but that it's kind of weird the way that they did it. Kind of seemed like it didn't really make much sense, but I ultimately understand that they closed it out the best way that they could while trying to give all the characters their just due. Only one I felt like kind of got shitted on a little bit was maybe Black Widow. I mean, I don't know if she should have went out like that, but it is what it is at this point. But ultimately, it was phenomenal. I thought it was great. The way that they used the time travel, it was super weird because like initially I thought they were going to use the time stone, excuse me. And then when he erased the stones, and then obviously from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then him coming out the quantum realm, it's like, okay, that's definitely going to be the route. And then the way that they explained the time travel, immediately, as soon as they explained it, I thought Dragon Ball Z. That immediately popped in my head, where you enter one timeline, and when you affect that timeline, it doesn't affect your timeline. You essentially create a new future for that timeline. So in essence, you kind of create an alternate universe for that particular timeline. That was the explanation of time travel. And I knew right away when you do it that way, because I remember from when they did it in DBZ, it leaves plot holes. And it leaves a lot of questions because like certain things just aren't going to make a whole lot of sense. Because certain things were messed up. And then unless ultimately Steve returning everything at the exact moment literally negated everything, which would make sense because all of that happened because they went to go get those stones. But then it's like, how would he properly return every single stone? I don't know. But like I said, they tied it together in a way that would properly send them off. And I can't be upset with that. There's always gonna be like little plot holes, and there's always gonna be like things that just don't make sense when dealing with time traveling. And that's when it comes down to like the nitpicking of it. Which is like, at the end of the day, it's not that necessary. But yeah, man, I thought the film was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it yet, that is a shame. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to go watch it. I'm definitely trying to go see it again. I've only seen it once. I want to see it at least twice. I might try to see it more than that. I'm not sure yet. But I definitely want to see it again. I have to. The shit was amazing. Alright, we talked about how we like the film. I want to get into these numbers though, because they're looking pretty nice. Mind you, first 3 days, 1.2 billion unprecedented, monumental, historic. This was definitely expected. Not for nothing. If it didn't do at least $1 billion, or in my opinion, if it didn't do at least $1 billion, then yeah, that definitely would have been a bit of a letdown, considering everything building up to this. Everything building up to the end of it, Endgame, obviously. And then just the massive amounts of hype, the amount of like press that they've been doing for the film. They've been promoting it for the last year or so before it even came out. Like ads, billboards, commercials, everything on Instagram, it's on Snap. It's literally everywhere. So if it didn't do $1 billion first week, that would have definitely been a bit of a letdown. I'm about to check the budget real quick because I actually don't know the budget. Because I know it's at least over like 200 to 300 mil, which, I mean, that's high. Come on. 356 million to make, and that does not include additional promotion costs. Always got to remember that there's always additional production and promotion costs outside the initial budget for the film. So the budget's 356. We probably could say that it's costing about 5 to 6 to make it. It has to make at least $1 billion, at least first couple days or whatever, which it did. It did 1.2. By the end of the week, it was at 1.7. Well, we're at the end of the week now. I think pretty much it was at 1.7, and now it's jumped to like 1.9. So it's gonna cross. They're expecting it to cross 2 billion by the end of today, which is like, it's definitely on track to beat Avatar. Only other movie standing in its way, I think, is Titanic. I think Titanic is like 2.1, and then Avatar is 2.7. Now, that 2.7, that's a high fucking number, man. That's a lot of money this movie's gonna have. That means that it's gonna have to push like at least 2.5 by the end of next week. I want to say by the middle of next week, but maybe by the end of next week. Because anytime after that, it starts to slow down. People aren't going to the film as much. Most of the people have already seen the film. So like, and that's not to account for the people that's fucking bootlegging and shit. So there's already people that's not going to the movies to watch it. So if it doesn't hit like 2.5, I will say by like next week, then I don't know if it's going to pass Avatar. But it's definitely on track, 100%, because it's doing out of control numbers. This is actually pretty crazy. But we'll see. I'm rooting for it, 100%. I have nothing against Avatar. I personally felt it was overhyped. It was good when it came out, but fanboys kind of went super, super crazy. But we gotta see. We gotta see. Numbers is looking crazy though. Speaking of numbers, Mr. Iron Man, he's not only saving the universe, but he's saving all the goddamn money that they're making. Not all of it, obviously, but he's making a pretty penny. Ended up negotiating his contract so that he's making 75 mil. He made 75 mil off the back end of Infinity War. That's just off the back. That's just Infinity War. Come on, man. This endgame payout is about to be ridiculous. This man is... He's done it right. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody else's contract is like between 15 and 20. All the main stars, aside from like, I guess like Jeremy Renner. I didn't see his name, but I know Scarlett, Chris. Who else? I know they're definitely getting 15 to 20, and yeah, both Chris's. I'm sorry, that's what I forgot. Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans. Scarlett and both Chris's are getting 15 to 20. Which is well deserved. And Scarlett's getting 20 mil for her movie, that's the Black Widow movie that's about to come out. And it's a prequel for, you know, those who aren't aware how she coming out with a movie. She died, her character. It's a prequel, so that's probably gonna be pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. Especially if they do it similar to how they've done the Captain America, well at least Winter Soldier. Obviously she's a spy. It has to be a spy thriller. If it's not a spy thriller, it's not gonna be good. I'm gonna keep it 100, and that would make the most sense. So I definitely think it's gonna make money because people love fucking Black Widow. She low key has a big ass fan base, and rightfully so because her character was always pretty dope. Man, Hemsworth was managed to like renegotiate, so we're definitely gonna see him in the Guardians films. He's probably gonna be in Guardians 3. They're also hinting at a possible Thor 4, which that'll be super dope. And if we see a Thor 4, then I would not be surprised if we ended up seeing Loki's return some way, somehow. Especially since he also has contracts signing. He also has signed contracts so that he can be in his own little television show that Disney's doing on their streaming service. It's him, Falcon, and Winter Soldier have a show together. And I'm not sure what other characters, but I know those three have contracts for shows. Which means that the Loki character is still going to be in the universe somehow. So I wouldn't be surprised that if we do see a Thor 4, we end up seeing a Loki. We're definitely going to see a lot of like Valkyrie and shit. I would not be surprised. They're probably going to try to incorporate her into the main core of Avengers now. Because if you think about it, Black Widow passed, Iron Man passed. The Hulk's arm is all fucked up, and at this point, they've pretty much shown you that the Hulk is not that interested in, or they're not interested in incorporating him into like the heavy action like that. You know, they're reducing and downplaying his role a bit. They nerfed him. They pretty much nerfed him. So we're looking at Black Panther, we're looking at Captain Marvel, we're looking at Doctor Strange, we're looking at Valkyrie, we're looking at Ant-Man. I wouldn't say Spider-Man because I know that Tom Holland's contract, I believe it's up after Far From Home. And I believe that Sony gets their rights for Spider-Man back after Far From Home. And I'm very certain that they want it, if I'm not mistaken, because with the success of Venom, they now feel super confident. They're getting a little arrogant about what they can do with Spidey, even though they've fucked up Spider-Man twice, but doing the exact same fucking thing. But, you know, they know what they're doing. But if they take Spidey back, then he's not going to be in the core. So we're looking at Panther, Marvel, Strange, probably Valkyrie, Ant-Man. Maybe Ant-Man, because Paul Rudd, I believe his contract is up, or he has one more movie and his contract's up. Him and Chadwick are they have one more film left on their contracts, if I'm not mistaken. They each have one more film left on their contracts. It'll probably be Ant-Man 3, and it's going to be Black Panther 2. Then they'll end up renegotiating. I definitely believe we're going to see Chadwick back. That makes sense. Now, people love Ant-Man, and Paul Rudd is super likable. He always has been. But we got to remember that he's getting up there. Paul Rudd is in his 50s. And he'll be approaching his mid-50s soon. So, we got to see, man. And from what I've seen, it looks like he does a lot of his stunts, because a lot of his stuff is like CG. So it's just a lot of like cardio. It's a lot of like meticulous training. So it's whether or not like he still wants to do that, you know, into his 50s and even possibly going into his 60s. We gotta remember, like, he's in his early, I think he's like 51, 52 or something like that. Or he's almost 50. It's something like that. He's either really late 40s or really early 50s. We're probably not gonna see another Ant-Man film until like 2021. His movie came out last year. So 2021, 2022 maybe? I mean, I don't know. We gotta see. A lot happens in 3-4 years, man. You gotta be honest. But yeah. So going forward, we have those characters. We still have to see if they're gonna ever introduce Adam Warlock, because they've teased him. So we gotta see what direction they go. I understand that they're gonna be taking like a little bit of a break. They're gonna take a break. They're gonna see what they're gonna do with X-Men. I'm very certain they have something in the works for Fantastic Four. Those will probably be the next two franchises that they spearhead. I wouldn't be surprised if like they kind of slow down a bit on Avengers. And I would definitely love to see what they do with X-Men. Not that Fox did a horrible job. Fox, they had moments where they did really great, and then they had moments where they just lost track of what they were doing. Even with this Dark Phoenix film. And I'm reading comments, and everyone is praising it, and they saying how beautiful it looks. And this reminds me of when X3 Last Stand came out and we saw the previews and everybody was hyped, thinking that this was going to be the movie that like broke the bank or whatever. And it turned out to be a dud. It had so many missteps. It was parts of it just didn't make sense. And ultimately, it wasn't a very good film. And not for nothing, the writer of that film is directing Dark Phoenix. And it looks just like X3 Last Stand. Jean Grey, her powers are starting to affect her. She goes back to her childhood neighborhood. It looks isolated, a little desolate. Then she has an encounter with the X-Men in the middle of the streets. And then her powers start fucking up. And then instead of the actual power really taking control of her, it looks like they have like Jessica Chastain's character like goading her and like moving her towards using the ability or whatever. It's the same shit. No matter how you try to gloss it up and add new faces, it looks like the exact same film. Now Jean is out of control. The Magneto and Professor X try to come together initially to stop her. They're not going to be successful. I can probably already predict the film, bro. Like I'm probably not going to see it. I don't even think that's $5 movie worthy. That's wait till it comes out on wherever it comes out. Because if it's still attached to Fox, oh yeah, it's going to be on a Disney streaming service anyway. So I'll probably wait till it's on there. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. It's going to be $6.99. And it's going to have like over 500 films because they have the Fox catalog. And then they have all of Disney property. Come on, fam. I'm going to check it out. You guys should definitely check that out too. But yeah, the film looks just like X3. So, I don't know. I'm not impressed. I didn't expect to be impressed, but I'm not even confident. It just looks like it's going to be bad. Maybe it'll change my mind. Because I initially thought that Shazam was going to be bad. And I actually thought Shazam was very good. If you haven't seen Shazam, you should go see it. It's a family-friendly film. Just an FYI. It's family-friendly. So with that in mind, I recommend taking your kids, your nephews, whoever, or just going, whatever. But just keep in mind, it's definitely a family-friendly film. That's the entire theme of the whole film. But it's a good film. I'm not going to lie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Can't be mad. And like, with the success of that, the success of Aquaman, obviously the direction of the DC universe is going to be in a much lighter tone. I don't know. I'm not particularly happy about that, to be honest. I love that it was a complete contrast. I've said this before. But at the end of the day, you can't really argue with the numbers. And if the lighter tones are what's putting people in the stands, then I can't be upset. And if it's what's making the films better, I can't be mad either, because they clearly don't know what the hell they're doing when they try to go the other route. Wonder Woman was good. And even that tone of that film was lightened up quite a bit. And it reminded me of Man of Steel, but we gotta see. Her film comes out next year, if I'm not mistaken. 1994, or this year. I think it comes out this year. But yeah, the sequel to Wonder Woman comes out soon. I'm definitely gonna check that out. First one was good. And we gotta see where they go, man, because it seems like they're not gonna focus on the, and they've said this before, they're not really focusing on the extended universe anymore. I don't know if they just can't handle it or if they just don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the hell the problem is. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But they said they're gonna focus on like the solo films. So I guess they're just trying to get their characters in order. They're still trying to figure out what to do with the Flash. That's still in production turmoil. I don't know what the hell the problem is with that film. Another big issue that they had is they've chosen to keep their television universes out of the film universes, which sucks because Grant Gustin is a hell of a Flash. And I don't know. He's a great Flash on the TV show, and putting him as Flash in the film, that would have been a very smart, and it'd have been just a super wise decision because he was already extremely popular from his show. People love the Flash. Incorporate him into the film. You bring those Flash fans over, and that kind of helps get the pot stirring a bit. You know what I'm saying? But they chose to keep it separate. Who knows why? But the TV shows succeed. The films, they're not doing so well. Something's going on. I don't know, man. Warner Brothers have to get it together. I don't know if it's just sheer incompetence or if it's just lack of general respect for the DC fucking product. But they really need to get it together, because it makes no sense that Disney seems to just be able to they know what they're doing. Like, they're going in and they're accurately portraying these characters. And they're doing it in a way that makes sense, even when they don't have everything that they can work with. Mind you, they created this entire Avengers universe based on a story that they had to kind of like mix and match together and kind of fucking saw and duct tape together, because they didn't have all the characters at first. So why can they makeshift a fucking universe and make it so amazing? DC has all their characters and they don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. The obvious first misstep, I've always said, is when they tried to play catch up when they were already about 5, 6 years behind. It baffles me, man. It boggles my mind at the incompetence. But we'll see. Maybe they'll get it together. I didn't mean to go on that long about DC, but I just love DC, man. And I really wanted to see the extended universe come together the same way that Marvel put theirs together, because it would have been amazing. And had they done it correctly and had everything molded together the way it was supposed to, we could have potentially, not saying it really would have happened, we could have potentially gotten a Justice League versus Avengers type of thing. Because there are crossover comics where DC characters fight against fucking Marvel characters. Something like that could potentially happen in the future. Or it could have, before they start fucking up all the movies and they don't know what they're doing. But I don't know. We'll see. But as far as Marvel and Avengers, Phase 4 is pretty much in effect. I understand they're trying to bring forth a character called Shang-Chi. Not too familiar with the character. Chinese. Let me see, Chinese American? Oh, just a Chinese character. Okay, he's a martial artist, a kung fu master. And then he eventually gets the power to duplicate himself. He joins the Avengers at some point. So this is one of their like lower tier characters, but maybe not super lower tier, but I guess in the same vein as like Black Panther, where like it's a different culture. So this is probably one of the most popular of the Chinese characters, because I can't front, I don't really know any Asian characters from really either companies, DC or Marvel, just keeping it a stack. So yeah, this is them trying to incorporate more diversity, which is cool. This is definitely, they said that this is the next project they're greenlighting. So they're definitely trying to incorporate more diversity. That's why you see more female characters getting a lot more shine. Black Widow's getting her movie. Captain Marvel got her movie. We're going to start seeing more of these female films from these female characters, as well as like characters who are of other culture. Like, it just makes sense. But aside from that, they're also talking about the Eternals. They're also talking about bringing forth the Eternals. I actually had to look them up as well. I've always heard about the Eternals. I never really knew too much about them. They were created by Jack Kirby, based on the concept that he brought over from DC when he was at DC for a little while. It was called New Gods. And that's another thing. There's quite a few that Marvel has that was based on like DC, like the Eternals. Thanos, for instance. Thanos is based on Darkseid, for people that don't know. Darkseid is like the pivotal enemy in the DC universe. He is the Thanos of DC. He's one of the few people that really can fuck Superman up, straight up. But yeah, they're talking about bringing the Eternals forward. Let me see. I can give you a brief rundown on their history right now. Okay, when the Celestials visited Earth 5 million years ago and performed genetic experiments on early proto-humanity, they created two divergent races, the long-lived Eternals and the genetically unstable and monstrously grotesque Deviants. These experiments also led to the capacity for superhuman power mutations in humans. They also performed this experiment on other planets, such as the Kree and Skrull homeworlds, with similar results. Which is why you got motherfuckers like Ronan and shit. just to like tie in those type of. Okay, that could be dope. I fuck with it. I appreciate the fact that, not for nothing, it only makes sense that Disney is now going to start to incorporate, or Marvel, I would say, is only going to start to incorporate, or not only, but they're going to start bringing forward these characters that aren't very, very well known, but could potentially have a large fan base. I'm looking at some of the characters, they look pretty dope, and then you can have an ensemble cast with the Eternals, because it looks like there's multiple of them. So, and it says that they're not born very often, so that also makes them very unique. That can be super dope. And then bringing Shang-Chi for the cultural diversity, I can't be mad at it. I can't hate on it. I can't hate on it. Just like I can't hate on the fact that they gave Falcon the shield. I thought they were going to give it to Bucky. Very surprised they gave it to Falcon. I'm not mad with that decision. Like, I respect it. I respect how they did it. How they let Stark go out. I thought they were going to take Cap. Because like in the comics, Cap died. So I thought Stark would retire and Cap would live. I definitely thought that at the beginning of the film when they showed his daughter and he had a child and everything. But they gave us a little curveball. I fuck with it. But yeah, man, I'm really impressed with what they did. 11 years, 22 movies. Like, and for those people that just decided like to watch Infinity War and then just go and watch Endgame, like, don't deprive yourself, man. You're missing out on so many experiences. Like, yeah, it's a lot of films to watch, but at the end of the day, what the fuck else are you doing? You could take some time out of your week and pick a day and watch each of those films or something. Even if this shit takes you 22 days, it don't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just take that time and really just watch the ones that you haven't watched to see everyone's storyline so you can really see how those characters came together. That's why those final moments that they always show where the character passes and everyone is like, they're so emotional about it. Like when Stark passed, for instance, and they set it up beautifully where you see Rhodey talk to him first and then Peter brings his crying ass over there. He's always fucking crying, bruh. They gotta stop that shit. Spider-Man ain't no bitch. He's always crying. He brings his crying ass over there, crying about Stark, and then you see Pepper come through and she's assuring him, Tony, you did it. It's okay. You can rest. Like, yo, they set that shit up beautifully. Can't hate. And then the funeral scene after, where you see everyone standing with their respective characters, and they're all standing in the way that was in order of their films and the way that they were showing them. That was dope. And then they had the arbitrary kid on the side. I had to look Shorty up. That's the little kid from Iron Man 3 who helped him out when he was all fucked up in the neighborhood. Like, they had, like, come on, man. They set it up beautifully. They gave him a glorious send-off. I fuck with it. And I respect what they did, man. It was dope. It was dope. I don't have any complaints about how they ended it. Now I just want to see where they go forward. I want to see where they go. I want to see what they do with Scarlet Witch. Oh, yeah. Scarlet Witch also has a series coming out. And Hawkeye has a series. So they're all negotiating deals. So I want to see where they take these characters, man. I want to see how far they go. And I want to see if they can try to top what they've done, man. It's going to be hard. It's probably going to take another 22 films. I'm keeping the steez. It's probably going to take that long. Another 11 years. But I want to see if they could do it. Because this shit was worth it. It was dope. But yeah, man. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank y'all for coming listening, man, while I sit here and chat with y'all about something that was a very, very big part of my life, man. The Avengers, fucking the whole franchise. It was dope. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I thought it was super lit. I'm going to catch y'all later, man.